What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango, and I am talking about the WWE Clash in Paris 2025 event that just went down that I have almost nothing positive to say about. So I'm already going to tell you in advance, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, you hate everything, oh my god, you're supposed to just love everything as a fan, this isn't the podcast for you. I didn't hate this in the sense of like these are the worst matches ever, but this is, to put the too long didn't read idea of my breakdown of this. This felt like one of the most inconsequential, pointless things that I had to watch 6 hours worth of, and I did not feel like it was worth even an hour of my time. So that's what I'm going to break down here. And I invite you to do the same. You can disagree with me all you want. Leave a comment below on wherever it is that you are listening to this to. And I would love to hear the arguments otherwise about how you thought that this deserved to be 6 hours and how much you loved seeing Borderlands ads and whatever else it might be, and how you felt like this completely moved everything forward in a great direction. Whatever it is that's contrarian to what I'm going to say, go ahead and do that. If you agree, of course, you can do that too. Leave them in the comments below as well too. Keep in mind, we got our Discord server, so if you are interested in chatting it up there, that's a great way for you to just like, pop in and talk whenever you want. Keep in mind too, all the different things you can do to help us out. Hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, get those email alerts for other pay-per-view points. Hopefully that I have more interesting things to talk about in the future for other shows like that. Plus a little spare change our way through the thanks button, the patreon.com/smarkoutmoment tiers, the YouTube channel membership, Redbubble and TeePublic for merchandise as well. And yeah, I'm going to be speed running this essentially. I gotta just be honest about it. I already was not particularly interested in this card because there's a lot of talent on this card. Like, let's be honest. I mean, like most of the people, I would actually say more than most. I would say nearly every single person on this card is a very talented wrestler. There's a few that I'm not the biggest fan of. Being perfectly honest, like if you're going to say like, oh, well, are you going to go completely over the top when it comes to the Wyatt 6? No, I'm not going to be like they're 10 out of 10 amazing, my favorite wrestlers of all time. But I think that this was a show that I went into this immediately going, no titles are going to change hands. Nothing's going to happen. If anything, it's going to be Brock Lesnar attacks John Cena. That's nothing all that interesting. And I feel like this was, again, it's another show where they dragged everything out and it completely sapped all of my energy. Because I don't want to watch 2 hours of a pre-show to get to the start of the show and wait 17 minutes for them to have the bell ring and then have the match be Roman Reigns versus Bronson Reed. That doesn't matter. And the segment ends at 2:56 because you needed a full hour to have a match that should be on Monday Night Raw that ends in an angle to write off Roman Reigns so that way you can wait an extra month because you don't want to have him on the next couple pay-per-views. Whatever his deal is, he doesn't want to wrestle all that much. Maybe you also don't want to put in the effort of actually trying to plan out some feuds and storylines for him. So it's just, we can only tell a story that we can drag out, and we can only drag it out if we only do one step, wait, step, that kind of thing. It's poor writing. And poor writing, especially from somebody who, is a writer, I can't stand that stuff. And I do that when I'm watching movies, TV shows, whatever it might be. So when it comes to WWE, I have a lower register of where I expect their writing to be. And they are just going lower and lower. They're putting less and less effort into this when they have more and more talent to work from, which is incredibly frustrating. I'm going to see what these other chats are in the chats, the live chats, blah, I'm all over the place. Peter, the last 2 matches, I want to talk fantasy booking. Gilly in the chat too. Hey, Tony, I thought the show was decent overall. I think the crowd carried heavily through. How do I say this? I muted the thing like I don't remember when I turned the volume on like lower. At this point, I do not want to hear 1, 2, Simplemente a single more time in my entire life. They're having fun. That's good for them. It's not working for me. This is just like water torture, like one drip at a time. After a while, I'm just hearing the same thing on repeat. And I feel like the crowd is just in that kind of camp of a lot of the crowds that have been happening lately, where it's like they're so starved and they're so excited to just have a show that you put anything in front of them and they're going to think that it's the most amazing thing ever. I don't think that the matches were bad. So I think that if you boiled this 6-hour show down to 2, I think I probably would have been a little bit more on the positive side of it. But there's nothing here, I feel, that if you missed it, you should watch it. I don't think that you even need to watch clips of these things. I think that nothing happened. The matches were just fine. They were on par with everything else that we see on an episode of Monday Night Raw or on SmackDown or anything like that. None of them are going to be my match of the year for anything. None of them are even going to be, spot of the year, unless I give it to Nikki Bella completely botching that one kick that she did. And I found myself entirely uninterested in the show from start to finish. And they didn't do a single thing that made me otherwise. There wasn't one moment throughout this entire show that made me actually look at my screen and be like, I need to see what happens next. I was distracted with every little thing that I could. I mean, I was reading crap on Twitter that was like not related. I'm looking up, extra comic book panels of Batman and Green Lantern arguing with each other because I'm far more interested in that. And this just seemed like a show that I didn't need to watch, with results that didn't go anywhere, didn't do anything, didn't advance any plot lines, except the one thing that advanced the plot line was now Roman's gone for a while. So it's not really an advancement of a plot line. It's dropping a plot line because you have no story to tell for a while. It's the same as any type of, pick a random TV show. Pick, I don't know. Sweetie, name a TV show. Alien Earth. Now I'm going to spoil anything, but Alien Earth, if they have a story of we take these aliens and we are studying them, imagine if they get to episode 3 and they go, well, we're just going to send the aliens away for a little bit. And then they go episode 4, 5, and 6. And then they go, okay, well, now the aliens are coming back and now we can tell the rest of the story. And in the meantime, a character is just sitting around with their thumb up their ass doing nothing. That's what Roman's going to be doing. He's just not going to be existing. And it's going to be a situation where, he comes back for War Games. Everybody goes absolutely crazy in the 2 weeks that lead up to that or whatever. And now we just wait. So do I care about waiting for that story, for it to just be Roman comes back and he spears Braun Breaker and he spears Bronson Reed and he does the Superman punch and then they have the match that they just had? Why do I care? They're not giving me a reason for it. And I'm not holding them up to an incredibly high standard because there are so many ways to tell stories and there's so many interesting angles you can tell. And the one interesting thing that's coming out of this in my mind is something that I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusions for, which is AJ Lee going to come back? Now, I'll be interested if she does come back. But if the whole point is we hope that there's something else that we aren't giving you and that eventually you just keep watching, then that's not the same as telling a good story. So I could go match by match here and I could talk about specifics, but I don't feel like I even need to. Bronson Reed loses to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns gets the Shula Fala back. He takes out Paul Heyman. Braun Breaker spears Roman. There's a 20-minute segment of Roman being stretchered out. It takes forever for Jey Uso to come out, despite the fact that he's right there in the arena, and it makes no sense for him not to do that. So they didn't even bother to set up something ahead of time to be like, Braun Breaker attacked him, and then he has to come out and, do some kind of proper thing like that. It's just, Jey doesn't come out because we don't want him to come out yet. Again, lazy storytelling. That's not how you tell stories. If, then, cause, effect, reason, Chekhov's gun, that's how you write. You don't write in the sense of, this hasn't happened yet on the plot because I can't have it happen yet in the plot. You know what I mean? Let me see what Peter's saying here. That was fantasy booking for the main event, AJ and Punk versus Becky and Seth. Yeah, like, if they do that, I'm interested because I want to see AJ Lee back. If they don't, then blah. Then it's for no reason again. So after a full hour's worth of the Bronson, Reed, and Roman Reigns thing, they do the Wyatt 6 against the Borderlands crew, Street Profits. Belts are retained. It's a match. It's nothing special. I'm not a big fan of the Wyatt 6. They keep the belts as expected. This is exactly why I was not hoping that the Street Profits would win. It's because I thought that Mello Don't Miz was the more interesting angle, and you could at least do something with Carmelo Hayes and the Miz there. Whereas I knew Angelo, Dawkins, and Montez Ford would just go out there, wrestle, and lose. So they went out there, they wrestled, and they lost. And then we moved on to the next segment. That's it. There's nothing to talk about here. There's nothing going on. Third segment of the whole thing, 3 hours into the show, 4 hours into the show, whatever it was, the Intercontinental Championship match. Becky Lynch isn't going to lose to Nikki Bella because Nikki Bella is a part-timer at most. So she doesn't lose to Nikki Bella. And if you, Gilly saying that that's the worst match of the night, yeah, that was definitely the worst match of the night from what I had seen. And it's Nikki Bella's fault because she has to bring rust, and she was not as, technically sound as Becky Lynch was in her prime and everything like that too, and let alone now after all the ring rust and all. So that's why I wasn't going into it expecting it to be a great match. And then I was proven right. The result happens, and then that's it. Like, it's running through the motions. And, I use a lot of food analogies. I use a lot of just analogies in general, but food's a constant. Everybody eats. So the way that I can equate an event like this is when you're doing matches like that, it feels like when you go to a buffet and you just fill up on stuff that you would already eat normally, and it's bland, but you think that getting quality and quantity is the same. And, well, it's relatively cheap, so it's good that I'm eating a lot of it. Whereas it's just completely empty calories, and then your salt level is crazy and all that other kind of stuff. So it's like a match like the Nikki Bella and Becky Lynch one. I don't feel like I got anything out of that. I don't feel like that was particularly entertaining. I couldn't do what they would do, obviously, for anybody that does the whole, well, you couldn't do that either. I'm not saying that I could. I know for a fact I couldn't. I couldn't do a 50th of what the worst wrestler on the roster does. But that doesn't mean that I can't criticize the entertainment value for it, because as a customer, as a consumer of entertainment, I am supposed to be entertained, and I was not. So then does this tell a great story? At least that in that fashion, I could be more invested in the Becky Lynch's women's Intercontinental title reign going forward. I don't think so. Nikki Bella challenged her and lost. That's it. That's not a real interesting story. It seems like that's what I don't like about action movies that have just a bunch of explosions. There's no story to it. That's what I don't like about horror movies that are just a series of people getting killed, or comedies that are just fat person fell down. Isn't that funny? No. Give me context. Give me something to hook onto. Give me a reason why it's funny. Don't just tell me that it is. And don't just tell me that action means it's fun, or, that people dying on screen is scary or something, And when it comes to pro wrestling, I don't want a match to be well, they fought each other, so isn't that fun to watch? If I wanted to do that, I would just watch MMA. And MMA, they would do the same exact moves, and they would do the same things that I would, criticism for the reason I don't watch MMA or boxing or something. If I'm the type of person that I don't like football, and I don't like basketball, and I don't like hockey, and I don't like whatever, and I don't like watching those sports because I feel like there's just, how much baseball can I watch where it's just they hit the ball, they ran around in the same thing, and one team with a certain set of colors on their uniform won and the other team didn't. I'm not invested in it. And professional wrestling is sports entertainment. The sports element is supposed to tell a story through the entertainment side of it. And the entertainment side is supposed to set up the sports side of it. So if I'm watching just for a match, then there's no entertainment value beyond the same as what the other sports are. And it's just a matter of pure athleticism. Then I might as well be watching the Olympics, or I might as well be watching a dance routine, the dance routine probably has more thought out to it than, some of those. But I feel like it's not good enough for me to watch a match for the sake of a match, unless the match itself is amazing. If it's just a match, then I don't care. And that's why I don't really get super invested into like ROH or a lot of AEW matches. If they're something special, amazing. If they have a great story, I'd rather have a great story and an A- match than a 0 story and an A+ match. I'd rather have, for that matter, a great story and a B+ match than an A+ match with 0 story. I want a combination of the two. I don't think that the Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella story is a story all that much for me to get invested in. So then the match itself doesn't fulfill the other side of the equation, and then it ends up being that they both kind of fail. And the same kind of goes when it's Rusev and Sheamus. Those two had the option in their good old-fashioned Donnybrook match to beat the living shit out of each other in a way that would really have made me go, wow, I need to keep my attention on the screen, and I'm really focused because they're just wailing on each other. They didn't. They had a bunch of barrels outside, and they did nothing with them for the most part. Nothing like super interesting, at least. They bumped into them a couple times, whatever, but that's nothing different. You don't play a Donkey Kong Country and you see the barrels and you just pick them up and then you lightly drop them. You throw them, you smash them, you do whatever. And is solid enough ending when it comes to the idea of Rusev beats Sheamus through an accolade where he's got a shillelagh in his mouth, in Sheamus's mouth, I should say, pronouns. And he's holding him, and that's how he taps out. Good. I like that ending. I wish I liked the rest of the match enough to care that the point when the ending came that I would have been invested in going, oh, don't tap out. Ah, okay, he got him. Instead, I'm sitting there going, he's probably going to tap out. And there he goes. Okay. Rusev defeated Sheamus by submission. And yeah, I've made no qualms about the idea that I am burnt out just in so many different things. And that's, of course, a factor. If you're farting out rainbows all the time, then you think that everything's the most amazing thing in the world. You probably watched this pay-per-view and thought that it was amazing. But I need something more than that. And, good on Rusev of winning a match. I don't think it's going to make everybody go, Rusev's the next number 1 contender or something like that. But, it was more entertaining than the Nikki Bella match. So I'll give it credit there. John Cena and Logan Paul had a decent match. They worked pretty well together overall. If you missed it, I don't think you need to see it. It's the same sort of, it was fine. Arguably good. Not great. Not in the going down in the annals of history. Oh my God, John Cena's greatest opponent's Logan Paul. And wow, I can't wait to see another match between the two. They did their job. They had their match. Cena won. Everybody's happy. There's no continued. Let me put it out this way too. Even if Brock Lesnar would have came out and attacked John Cena, that wouldn't have made me go, oh my God, this was the best thing in the world. That would have just been the most generic thing anyway. So I don't care that Brock Lesnar wasn't there. I'm actually kind of happy that he wasn't, because then that would have just been another thing of them thinking that that's the most amazing thing, and I would have had to be like criticizing them for that. Sometimes Cena could just win, and he wins. Yay. By this point, they had already had a whole backstage thing from the Roman Reigns and Bronson Reed angle, where Bronson Reed and the Braun Breaker were ejected from the whole arena. If they show up, they're going to get suspended from, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce. There you go. where he said that if he sees them again, they're going to be suspended indefinitely without pay. Paul Heyman is like sent to a hospital or something like that because of the attack that Roman Reigns did on him. So the idea is that they're setting up Seth Rollins can't win this match because he has no extra support, which then if you've watched wrestling long enough, you go, okay, so who else is coming to interfere? Is it going to be a new member of the stable, like an Austin Theory? Is it going to be that he is working with some other kind of like, you know, like a Brock Lesnar type or something where it's like, okay, well, you scratch my back, I scratch yours. Is this like Dominic Mysterio where, you know, some random person? Is it a debut? Blah, blah, blah. Credit where it's due. I didn't imagine that they were just going to go in this simple enough direction, but it's simple and effective. Is that it's Becky Lynch. She low blows CM Punk. He takes the pinfall, and the match itself prior to that, perfectly fine fatal four-way. Nothing spectacular that I feel like you need to watch if you haven't seen it. But at the same time, if you are starved for pro wrestling content, you want to watch that, then I'm sure you'll probably think that the match itself is fine when you can skip through all the stupid ads and just watch the match itself and not have to eat 5 hours worth of vignettes of the same thing and all the other kind of preamble crap. If you just watch this whole entire show of match by match by match and you get it done in an hour and a half or however long it would take, I think that it's a much better show. But I still think that it's a show that really doesn't do all that much. And in the grand scheme of things is just a stall copy paste type of episode. So it's becoming more and more that the pay-per-views are just becoming extended episodes of the TV shows, and the TV shows are now lowering their quality because they're like, well, if that's what we're doing for the pay-per-views, then we don't need to do that for the TV shows either. And it's becoming very exhausting to watch because they are giving you more filler and they're telling you that they're giving you a bigger and better product. It's, you know, to use the food analogy thing again, it's like if you got, here's my water bottle. If you fill up, I don't know how much this is supposed to be. Let's just say it's a liter. If you say that I'd rather have this liter of a bottle, or I'd rather have 1 liter's worth of water in a 2-liter bottle, you're not giving me more. You're just giving me a bigger bottle to hold. And I feel like that's the equivalent of what's happening in WWE. You're just giving me more content to watch, but it's not better quality. It's not actually more content. It's just more time to fill with the same level of content that you did before. And you're basically charging me to watch your ads, and I don't want to watch that. So yeah, it's very frustrating. I can't stand it. I think it's only going to get worse with ESPN because I can only imagine that that's just going to have commercials in the middle of matches and shit. So I'm not looking forward to that. I think that WWE has to stop patting itself on the back. I think that in general, people need to stop failing upward, and people need to start voting for their money because businesses only care about money. So I would like it, obviously, if they woke the fuck up and they started to do what they did the past couple of years where they were actually doing some better stuff instead of going, well, we can just do bullshit and people are going to pay us out the ass for it. So Rollins retains, Becky retains, Wyatt's retained, John beats Logan Paul in a match that really doesn't mean anything. Roman Reigns beats Bronson Reed in a match that means absolutely nothing and then gets written off TV because you don't want to do anything with him for WrestlePalooza and for Crown Jewel, which may or may not even have the Crown Jewel matches. And then you're going to come back around and it's going to just be, well, War Games is happening. It's not the most exciting thing in the world. And then they're going to do the exact same War Games setup that they've done before, which, by the way, will also include Io Sky is going to do her trash can moonsault off the top of the thing. And then that's, you know, a collection of 5 random women and 5 heels and baby faces and whatever. You'll get Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker and Seth Rollins and 2 other random people up against Roman Reigns and CM Punk. And I don't know if John Cena is going to be in there or if it's going to be Cody Rhodes or LA Knight or Jey Uso or Sami Zayn or whatever. And then you're going to skip and you're going to write off Roman Reigns again until Royal Rumble. And then Royal Rumble, he'll be a part of that. He'll either win it and challenge Seth Rollins, or somebody else will win it. That person will end up challenging the opposite. Roman will end up getting a match with Seth Rollins anyway. Then look at that. We're already at WrestleMania, but that's 7 months away or whatever it is. So that's incredibly frustrating. And I feel like I spent an entire day watching a show that I really, if I could edit in my own brain, shouldn't have been more than 2 hours long. And then those 2 hours really weren't something that, if I got at the end of those 2 hours, I don't think I would be going absolutely crazy for it either. So very much a blah, just type of thing. Sorry if you go into these podcasts expecting me to just go freaking gaga over everything and just bust a nut over the fact that pro wrestling exists. I like what I like. I dislike what I dislike. I didn't think that this was amazing. I thought that this was predominantly a waste of time. Fuck me, right? So again, you can disagree all you want. I would like to hear those comments. You know, if you are the type that you think that this was like the best thing in the world, legitimately, maybe you can convince me otherwise, and maybe you can give me a better idea of like what I am missing from this, or if you re-spark some kind of passion that is not there for me right now. And I'm not here to yuck on your yum. If you enjoyed it, I'm happy for you. I just disagree. So I'm assuming that they're not going to talk about anything at all in this post show that means anything, because the post shows don't mean anything anymore. It's just them to repeat the exact same things, then reiterate the same talking points that they're going to talk about on Monday Night Raw. They're not going to be asked any questions because they don't take any questions from anybody, because they don't have any balls to take any questions from anybody anymore. So it's just, you know, Triple H being like, I thought that this match was great, and that match was great, and that match was great, and that match, they did a great job, and then those people, they did a great job too. Just pat on the back over and over again, and that's it. So it is what it is. I don't know. That's one more pay-per-view down. We got another one probably next week. At this point, I lose track of it, and I'll come back around to it, and we'll talk about it, whatever the predictions might be. It's probably WrestlePalooza is the 20th. We go to smarkoutmoment.com, the most up-to-date pay-per-view schedule out of everything, and see what it is that we do have next. So Worlds Collide, the AAA show. Then we have All Out. Then we have WrestlePalooza. Then we have NXT No Mercy. So we'll come back around. We'll be going through pay-per-view points left and right, since they never end. And in the meantime, if you want us to do something else, you want us to do a completely different main event type of thing, you want us to specifically target like a Superstar Scores or a mock draft or Mount Rushmore, or I don't know, watch a wrestling movie or something like that, you let us know. If you want to make sure that we do it, the Pick Your Poison tier is the way to do that. That way you get to directly fund that and make sure that we do the thing that you are, you know, directly funding. It's kind of the whole point. And then if you want to stay tuned for Fantasy League stuff, I think that I got everything right. I don't remember what everybody else had asked. I'm pretty sure that I went with Roman and Rusev and Cena and whatnot. I don't know about the time, if it's a tiebreaker thing, whatever. Eventually, Callum will end up figuring that out. He'll crunch those numbers. We'll have some updates on WWEFantasyLeague.com. Maybe I'll make some trades. I don't know. Seth Rollins retained again in the main event. I'm getting more points, so I'm probably still more ahead. But we don't have any money betting on that anyway, so it's just, pride. Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing else I got to say. I was really considering not even doing this post-show. So, anyway, Clash in Paris, that's it. Make sure that you check out the link tree that I've got over on amangotree.com and anthonymango.com for all the different breakdown of all those things that are happening on all those different accounts and stuff. You know, follow Fanboys Anonymous. I'd love to do more Fanboys Anonymous stuff and get out of this rut of just being the pro wrestling stuff. Yeah, and Smark Out Moment links are out there too. My own personal links are there too for things like my Letterboxd and my Facebook, Twitter, etc., etc. And of course, stay tuned to the next thing that's happening your way from Smark Out Moment, which I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. Let me just double check again if we have something else in mind. I mean, I know we're probably going to come back around to doing a dark cast pretty soon. I know we've gotten a lot of requests about doing the tier lists for the rosters. So this upcoming week, this one might be a blank week. And if that's the case, if you guys want us to do the roster tier lists for the year, we can maybe do that. If you want to do something else, you can tell us about that too. You know, I take all these considerations and ideas and suggestions into consideration, I should say. So, I don't know. Stay tuned. I'll see you when I see it with whatever it is that we're doing next. And adios for now. This has been another Smark Out moment, and I'm being counted out.